Okay, ma. With last class, your first unit is completed. In today class, I will recall all the basic concepts and I will show some animations regarding this radar basic principles. Okay. See, all of you first unit syllabus. In your first unit, you learn the basics of radar and basic radar range equation. So in that, the introduction part is completed. Maximum unambiguous range is completed. Simple radar range equation, radar block diagram and operation, radar frequencies and applications, prediction of range performance, minimum detectable signal, receiver noise, and some problems related to these radar range equations, and modified forms of radar range equation, signal to noise ratio, which is nothing but figure of merit, F we already calculated, and probability of detection, probability of false alarm, integration of radar pulses, and radar cross section of targets, creeping waves, transmitter power, PRF and range ambiguity, system losses. Okay, with this your first unit is completed. In today's class, I'll recall the all basic concepts related to first unit. In next class, I will start the second unit. Okay, so first of all, coming to history of radar system. So what is the history of radar system? Actually, when you go back to the history of radar system, we got one point that 100 years of research is going on towards radar systems, because it starts on 80, its research starts in the year 80, and in between 80 to 85, they are acknowledged and they are identified the existence of radar waves. Okay, so radar was invented by Heinrich Hertz in the year of 80 to 85. Okay, in these 5 years duration, he identified the existence of radar waves, electromagnetic waves. That means he identified the concept whenever an electromagnetic wave touches a target, an echo signal is returned back towards the radar system. Based on that echo signal, we can able to identify the target location. That was recognized by Heinrich Hertz in the year 1880 to 1885. Okay, and first patent for using radar as a ship detector is invented by Hulsmar in the year 1904. Okay, and concept of side-looking airborne radar came in 1940. Civilian applications started since 1960. Imaging radar satellite starts in 1970, and in 1990s, the airborne SAR research started. Okay, still it is continued. Huge research is going on these SAR research. Okay, so here SAR is nothing but synthetic aperture radar. Okay, so in second unit, you're going to learn about types of radars. In those types of radar, all these radars are covered. Okay, so coming to a radar system, basically radar is nothing but radio detection and
Ma'am,
range.
slides change అవ్వట్లేదు.
Okay, okay.
ఏడే బాబు, నీ దగ్గర డబ్బులు ఉంటే మాత్రం అసలు నిన్ను ఎవరో ఆపలేదు. నేను మొన్న నీ రాత్రి చేసి
Mute, all of you mute your mics. Is it changed now? Is it visible radar slide?
No, ma'am. మ్యామ్ ఒకసారి స్క్రీన్ షేర్ ఆపేసి మళ్ళీ స్టార్ట్ చేయండి మ్యామ్.
Okay. History is visible. History slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Now.
Okay, ma'am. Continue, ma'am.
Okay, we need mute all of you. All of you check your mics individually, ma. Mute yourself. So So we know that acronym for radar is a radio detection and ranging. What is the basic purpose of radar? Basically, radar is an electromagnetic device, which is the electromagnetic system which is used to send an electromagnetic waves in a free space towards all the targets. Whenever these electromagnetic waves are touches the target, an echo signal is written back towards the radar system, which gives a complete information about that about the targets. Okay. Initially, it is limited to only military applications. This radar system application is limited in the first generation radars, but in elder, but now this is applicable to all the fields of application, day-to-day applications, civilian applications, military applications, airspace applications. In all applications, we are using the radar technology. Okay. So basically, here radar in an electromagnetic spectrum. Radar occupies the frequency range from 1 mm to 1 millimeter to 1 meter. Okay. And it covers the microwave frequency bands called L band, S band, C band, and X band. Okay. That's why we are calling the whole radar system as a microwave, active microwave remote sensing technique. All the radar functioning is called as a active microwave remote sensing technique, because we know that sensing concept, sensor senses the object. Actually, radar is a active microwave sensor because it senses objects in a remote areas. Radar senses the objects in a remote areas. That's why we are calling that as a active remote microwave sensor. Okay. Why we are calling this as a microwave sensor? Because it uses the frequency bands, microwave bands, L, S, C, and X bands. Okay. This is the frequency spectrum or radar frequency bands. Okay. Next. This is a basically an airspace air traffic control radar. I already explained in this we have two radars. First one is a primary surveillance radar and second one is a secondary surveillance radar. Okay. This lower part is called as the primary surveillance radar, where this upper ladder type portion is called as the secondary surveillance radar. Is it changeable? Slides are changing, ma? Is it visible? This pic is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, ma. If any problem, please give me response. Okay, acknowledge me. Okay, see here, this is a practical air traffic radar, air traffic control radar. Here we have a two sessions, upper and lower session. Lower session is called as primary surveillance radar and upper session is called as secondary surveillance radar. Actually, this lower section transmits an electromagnetic signals towards targets in a free space. This is free space. Okay, it rotates in 360 degrees direction. This antenna part rotates in a 360 direction. Here we have some rotary joints and some adjustments for the rotation of this part. Okay. So by using this primary surveillance radar, it is able to identify the location and range, but it doesn't give the altitude and exact information about the that particular target. So here we are using secondary surveillance radar. That is nothing but what is the antenna? Antenna is nothing but a metallic object. Every metal is acting as an antenna whenever it is excited by an AC source. Got you the concept here? Antenna is nothing but a metal. Metal is acting as an antenna. When it is acting as an antenna, whenever it is excited by an AC source. Okay, whenever an excitation is taken place in a metal, it radiates itself. It radiates an electromagnetic wave. So that is nothing but an antenna. So see here, this ladder section, every element is acting as an antenna. This is a metal. Okay, whenever we are applying field, we have a feed point for an antenna, you know. So with that feed, we are providing some AC excitation to this structure. Okay, so then it is acting as a radiating element. Antenna is nothing but a radiating element. Basically, it is a metal. Metal is acting as a radiating element whenever it is excited by an AC source. So whenever we are giving a feed energy to these elements, it radiates its energy in a free space. Okay, and it acts as well as it receives the energy from the free space. Here, energy from free space is nothing but echo signals from the target. Okay. Now I'll see one animation for this. Is it visible, everyone? Here, actually this is a ship. In a ship, we have some radar construction here. Some antenna element. This rotating element is a antenna element. It rotates in all directions in a 360 degrees to identify the other ships in a sea, in order to avoid the collision of ships, in order to avoid the some obstacles, collision of ship with some obstacles, some craves like that. Okay, so basically this rotating element is an antenna system. Okay, it rotates in all directions, 360 directions, and it identifies the target. It sends an electromagnetic signals by rotating in all the directions. Whenever these electromagnetic signals hits the other ships in a sea, then whenever it hits, that reflected back signal, echo signals are reaches again this towards this ship, and it gives some information about the remaining ships. Then we can avoid the collision of ships. Okay, and see this one. Basically, it shows. Is it visible, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See now. See, it slowly rotates in a 360 degrees, and it absorbing the echo signals from a free space. Identify that concept. Different types of antennas are used in these radar systems. Basically, at present research is in phased array radars in military applications. A huge research is going on phased array radars. Phased array radars is nothing but phased array antennas. Okay. So modifications in the radar system means modification of electronics. On whole, main modifications in antenna materials only. Okay. Antenna is a main element, key element in these applications. This is absorbing macro signals from the free space, where it is located at some place. See this one. This is actually a TV related, NASA TV related antenna system, a radar system. How it capturing the signals from free space and how it transmits signals towards the free space. So on whole, you can say that I think now you have a clear idea how a radar system covers all the space in airspace and how it's detecting the targets. Okay, so this map explains you how a radar system rotates in a 360 degrees and how it is able to identifying the targets. So this is just indication of a target. Whenever it hits, it given signal is reflected back towards the radar system. Okay. So all these animations explains you the basic principle of a radar system. Okay. So see the different fields of applications of a radar system. In military, remote sensing, air traffic control, law enforcement and highway security, aircraft safety and navigation, ship safety, space, and some other miscellaneous applications also we are using radar system. But first generation radars are limited to only military applications. After some advancements in electronics and antenna materials, now we are able to use radar systems in the fields of military, remote sensing, air traffic control, law enforcement and highway security, aircraft safety and navigation, ship safety, space, and other day-to-day applications also. See here how we are using in military applications. Okay, in a missiles and weapon detection systems, target detection, target tracking, and weapon control. Weapon control is also possible by using a radar system, radar signals, by transmitting an electromagnetic signals. Radar signals are nothing but here electromagnetic signals. Actually, these are the displays. This control display gives all the information about the targets. I already told that A-scope. A-scope is a radar display, one type of radar display which gives the information, which displays the information about the targets. Okay, the display is like this practical A-scope display. Okay, and these are also used in air, ground, and surveillance also. Okay. And coming to remote sensing, in a remote sensing also we are using weather observation, TV reporting, planetary observations, below ground probing, and mapping of sea ice. All these are also possible by using a radar systems. And ship safety, I already showed that ship safety, how it provides a radar system provides a ship safety, because we are using a 360 degrees directional rotatable directional antennas at the top of a ship, which sends an electromagnetic signals on sea, and which can able to identify the other ships, the direction of that ship, and by identifying that information, it is possible to avoid the collision of ships. So with that, radar is able to providing the ship safety. Okay, and here I already told that concept of buoys. This is nothing but one navigational object which gives information about other ships. Okay, which avoids the collision of ships. Okay, and in space also we are using. Okay, space vehicles have used radar for clocking, for landing on the moon. Okay, for landing on any planet, we are generally space vehicles used radar signals. So because it is a remote sensing technique, okay, it is used to identify the objects present in the remote areas. Okay, and coming to other applications, we are used in gas for oil and gas exploration applications, and it is very surprising. It is used to identify the movement of insects and birds also. Okay, and for contactless measurements also it is used. Okay. So coming to some day-to-day applications, here this is a micro power impulse. Actually, these see this image. These are the fuses. These are nothing but proximity fuses. Okay, in this proximity fuses, micro power impulse radar sensors is used. These fuses are used to detonate the bombs about 1 meter from the ground. The bombs which are placed about from 1 meter from the ground, those bombs are detonated by using these proximity fuses. What are the internal device in these proximity fuses? Means micro power impulse radar sensors. That means radar system is have researched to this much miniaturized size. Actually, initial radar system size is very large. Okay, but now this is miniaturized to this size. This is able to encapsulated in this size fuses. Okay, that micro power impulse radar sensors are encapsulated in these proximity fuses, which are used to detonate bombs about 1 meter from the ground. Okay. And lifesaver, actually this element is acting as a lifesaver element, and this is actually again we are using that micro power impulse radar sensors with some attached extender to search for the trapped people to rubble at ground zero of the World Trade Center. Whatever may be the actually they are taking an example as a World Trade Center, which is a World Trade Center attack, which is happened in the year 2001 on September 11th. Okay, so here they are using again that micro power impulse radar sensor with an extender to search the human bodies. Okay, to save the lives. So we can say that our radar system is used as a lifesaver. Okay. Next. And these radar systems are also used for HAMS and road maintenance systems also. I already explained that how it is used to identify the cracks in bridges and how and it also checks the quality of roads and quality of bridges and internal constructions, internal cracks. All are able to identified by the radar systems. Okay. And these are also used in tunnel wall inspection and mine inspection. Also, we are using a radar systems concept. And here also locating underground pipes. So in the so to locate underground pipes also we are using a radar system. That radar system is called as ground penetrating radar. So here by using the GPR data, ground penetrating radar data, the pipes are located underground. Okay, so GPR is a ground penetrated radar. So here GPR means it penetrates its electromagnetic waves into the ground. We already know that electromagnetic waves are spread towards the target in an airspace, but here GPR is able to penetrate its signals into the ground also. Okay. So this is the basic principle of radar system. We all very know this concept because the radar system basically consists of a transmitter, receiver, and this is a channel, and this is the target. Okay. So channel is nothing but here free space, no wired space. Wireless communication is taken place here. It's not a wired communication. Okay. So transmitter and receivers are included in a device called duplexer, where we are using single antenna for both purposes, transmitting purpose and receiving purpose. Okay. So this transmitter transmits an electromagnetic signals towards the target. Whenever the signal is hit the target, that reflected back towards the source, that is radar system. That received signal is called as technically echo signal. Okay. Based on this echo signal, based on the time taken by the echo signal, we are able to calculate the distance or range of this target and all other parameters of this target. That is the best possibilities of radar system. So basically this is the basic operating principle of a radar system. Now this again this animation explains the basic operating principle of a radar system. This is a radar system. So observe here, it sends an electromagnetic signal. Whenever it hits this target, it is deflected back towards the radar system. And one more thing, observe here, actually this is the power we are transmitting whenever this is hit. Okay, whenever it hits back, it reaches the maximum value and it returns back towards the radar system. This yellow spot explains about the power levels. Okay, so whenever it reaches the spike, that means we already learned about the typical waveform of a radar system. So in that radar system, we identified some spikes. So it indicates a fast sweep. Okay, whenever it hits this level, whenever this power reaches this level, it hits the target. Okay, with that, so within this repetition, within this first pulse repetition, we should receive an echo signal from the target corresponding to the first transmitting pulse. Okay, and by using this one, we are calculating the range, distance, altitude. Okay, all the parameters. Okay. So coming to the basic terminology in radar systems, basically we are using following terms in our radar system: range, pulse repetition frequency, maximum, unambiguous range, minimum range. So basically what do you mean by a range? Here range is nothing but the distance between radar and target is called the range of the target. Okay. We know the time taken for the signal to travel from radar to target and back to the radar. Okay. So based on the time taken, we can able to calculate the range. Here we should consider the range in two-way distance because signal is traveling from radar systems to target and from target to radar system. So that's why we are considering here 2R. Okay. And we know the speed of light, which speed the signal is traveling in a space. In a space, the signal as air as a media, it travels with the speed of light. Okay, so here we know the constant value for the speed of light as 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. Okay, and we know the formula for speed, that is equals to distance by time, where distance is equals to speed into time. From that, we are deriving an equation for range, which is given as R is equals to Ct by 2, where c is the speed of light and t is the time taken for the signal to travel from radar to target as well as from target to radar. Okay, and this was your first equation. Okay, by using this equation, you can easily calculate the range of the target. In this principle, we explained that by using a radar system, we can able to calculate the range. In this slide, I am showing how we are calculating the range of the target. Okay, practically. Okay, by using this expression, by substituting the c and t values, these are the known values. C is the constant value, speed of light, and t is nothing but this measures how much time is taken to reach the electromagnetic signal to reach the target and back to the radar. Okay, and here another concept is called pulse repetition frequency. Okay, this is a typical radar waveform which is having a narrow band pulses, narrow rectangular pulses which are separated with some pulse repetition time that is denoted with the letter TP. Actually, this is equal for all the pulses towards this x-axis. Okay, this is amplitude on y-axis. This is time period on x-axis. So here pulse repetition frequency is nothing but reciprocal of pulse repetition time, where pulse repetition time is nothing but a separation or time interval between the two successive clock pulses called the pulse repetition time. Reciprocal of this pulse repetition time is nothing but pulse repetition frequency, and it is denoted with the letter Fp, where Fp is equals to, we know that, 1 by Tp. So easily you can calculate the pulse repetition frequency. Okay, and next concept is the maximum unambiguous range. So here coming to the maximum unambiguous range is nothing but true range of the target is called maximum unambiguous range of the target. You may have a doubt here, but why you are mentioning the word true? Because we already discussed about range ambiguities. Because of that range ambiguities, we have a doubt about true range. Okay, so here the concept is nothing but, here the condition is nothing but the first echo signal corresponding to first transmitting pulse should be received before the commencement of the second transmitting pulse. Here the condition is, see here, this is the first transmitting pulse. We are transmitting this first sweep or first transmitting pulse towards the target. Here the condition is the echo corresponding to this first transmitting pulse should be received before the commencement of the second transmitting pulse. Okay, that echo must be here or here or here, somewhere before the commencement of the second transmitting pulse. Okay, if not, we have an ambiguity about the range, whether it is a true or not. So here we are calling maximum unambiguous range is nothing but the true range of the target is called as maximum unambiguous range. So we know that equation 1 is R is equals to Ct by 2. Okay. So instead of R, we are substituting R unambiguous. That means no ambiguity. R unambiguous means no ambiguity about the range. It is a perfect range, unambiguous range. So that's why we are substituting R is equals to R unambiguous and T is equals to Tp, where Tp is nothing but the pulse repetition time interval. Okay, Tp. So by substituting this, R unambiguous is equals to Ctp by 2. Okay, with this we are calculating the R unambiguous as C by 2Fp, where Fp is the pulse repetition frequency. So we can easily calculate the R unambiguous range by using this formula called equation 5. Okay. And coming to the minimum range is nothing but time required for an echo signal to receive at radar after the signal being transmitted from the radar is considered as pulse width. Okay, so it is also called the shortest range of the target. So that shortest range is called as the minimum range of the target. Okay, actually this is called as pulse width. Okay, and they are calling this shortest range as a minimum range of the target. By substituting r is equals to r minimum and t is equals to tau, we are able to calculate the minimum range, where tau is pulse width here. Okay, so now I want to explain about a basic radar range equation. Okay, so see here, all of you. Actually, we have a standard form of radar range equation initially. After that, by considering some modifications into an account, we derived the modified forms of a radar range equation. So initially, to derive a radar range equation, what is the basic element in our radar system? Antenna. Antenna itself a basic element in our radar systems. So here we need to consider antenna power density. Okay, where antenna is the isotropic source. Initially, we are considering the antenna element as a isotropic source here. Okay, so the power density is nothing but ratio of power and area. Ratio of the power transmitted by the area. Ratio of power transmitted by a transmitting antenna to the effective area. Okay. So the power density PDI at a distance r from the radar can be represented as PDI is equals to the total power transmitted by the radar system is PT by area is 4 pi r square. Okay, we know that PT is the maximum power, peak power transmitted by the radar system, where P average is the average power, but here PT is nothing but the amount of maximum amount of power transmitted by the radar transmitter. And we know that 4 pi r square is the area. Okay, this is the equation 1 of radar range equation. See here, it's very clear and very easy concept. So initially, in order to derive the radar range equation, initially we are considering the power density. We are considering the formula for power density. And here in the first equation, we are considering antenna type is as a isotropic antenna. For isotropic antenna, we write the formula as PT by 4 pi r square. Okay, but in general, in real applications, we are using antenna as a directional antenna. For directional antenna, in addition to power transmitted, we are considering gain also. So that's why here isotropic source power density is represented as PDI, and directional antenna power density is represented as PDT, and which is given as PTG by 4 pi r square. In addition to this one, we are considering the gain of directional antenna. Okay, but why we are considering gain means directional antenna means it directs its energy in a particular direction with a narrow beam. Okay, that's why we are considering here gain of antenna also. Okay, and in second, this is called second equation, and third equation you should consider the radar cross section of the target, which is denoted with letter sigma. So this PDE, effective aperture. Okay, PDE is given as PDD, this one into PDD into sigma by 4 pi r square, where we are considering sigma into an account. Sigma is nothing but radar cross section. Okay. Okay. So now substitute equation 2 in equation 3, where PDE is equals to PDD into sigma by 4 pi r square, where PDD is nothing but PTG by 4 pi r square. Okay. So after substituting an equation 2 in equation 3, we have PTG by 4 pi r square into sigma by 4 pi r square. So after next in equation 5, you need to consider the received power. Actually, what is going on here? Initially, we are considering an isotropic source. After next, we are considering a directional antenna. Okay, directional source. Okay, you can call whatever it is, source or radiator or directional antenna. Okay, so after next, you are just deriving the equation 3 by substituting this PDD value in this one. Here now, that means the amount that this amount of power is transmitted towards the target. Okay, now here you are considering in equation 5, you are considering actually this is the amount of power transmitted towards the target in a free space. But in equation 5, you are considering the received amount of power, which is denoted with the letter PR, to derive in order to derive the equation 5. Okay. So here you are considering the received power in terms of effective aperture of the antenna. So where PR is equals to this PD into AE, that is your equation 5. Okay. So now substitute this equation 4 in equation 5. Now you get PR, actually PR is equals to PD into AE. So PTG by 4 pi r square into sigma by 4 pi r square into AE. This is your equation. See here, this is your equation 6. So you can, on whole, you can say that PR is equals to PTG sigma AE by 4 pi square R power 4. Okay. So see here, next where you can bring this R power 4 is equals to PTG sigma AE by 4 pi square PR. Okay. And for this, you what is your ultimate aim? You are going to what are you doing? You are calculating the range of the radar. Okay. So the radar range equation is denoted with the letter capital R. The capital R is equals to PTG sigma AE by 4 pi square PR whole power 1 by 4. Okay. Actually, this is called the standard form of radar range equation. Whenever the question is asked like derive the standard form of radar range equation, actually this is the standard form of radar equation, basic radar equation. Okay. After next, by considering some modifications, we are deriving another equation called modified form of radar range equation. Okay. So this is the standard form of radar range equation, equation 7. Okay. So now you observe the modified forms of radar range equation. So see here the modified forms of radar range equation. So in a modified form of radar equation, you are substituting the formula of gain. We know that formula for gain is 4 pi AE by lambda square. Now substitute this in a equation 7. Then you get the equation 9. That is the modified form of radar range equation. Okay. R max is equals to PT sigma AE square by 4 pi lambda square as minimum whole power 1 by 4. Here we are doing two modification. One is substituting the formula for gain, and another one is you are substituting the minimum detectable signal called S minimum. Okay. So these are the modified forms of radar range equation which I already explained. Okay, these are some problems based on the radar range equation I already explained. So once go through these problems in a PD in notes, in first unit notes, I will include more problems based on this first unit concepts. Okay, in slides I only show the two problems, but in notes I will mention practice problems in order to get clarity about those concepts. Okay, next. Radar performance factors. What are the which factors are going to influence the performance of the radar means if you observe the radar range equation, standard range equation, the parameters which are in proportion nature, which are inverse reciprocal nature with the range, all those parameters are going to influence the performance of the radar, where PD is the maximum power transmitted by the radar system, which is going to influence the range equation, where it is directly proportional to R max, and gain of the antenna also influences the performance. Effective aperture, sigma, all these as minimum, all these are going to influence the radar range equation. It is clearly shows by observing this equation. So these are called as radar performance factors. That means we should take a care about these parameters while designing a radar system, because these parameters are going to influence this radar range. So you should properly select the values of these parameters. Okay. So always what care you should consider means here always we are trying to keep in order to get the maximum range, we should keep the power transmitted by the radar system should be high because PT is directly proportional to R max, and gain also high because G also directly proportional with R max, and radar cross section should be high because it is also directly proportional with R maximum, that is maximum range of the radar system. And effective aperture should be high. AE is also in direct proportionate nature with R max, and minimum detectable signal should be low. And radar cross section parameters like radar cross section of the target, sigma, minimum detectable S minimum. These all these parameters are in statistical nature. That means random nature. They are the variable parameters. So accuracy of the radar range equation is not up to mark. Okay. So in order to improve the accuracy, we should take care of modified forms of radar range equation. We should take care about these parameters. These parameters are called as performance factors, which are going to influence the performance of the radar range equation. And this is the minimum detectable signal. I already explained about in order to detect the targets. Exactly, in order to detect the true targets, here we are introducing the concept called minimum detectable signal. This minimum detectable signal is valid. This validated by considering a threshold value. This threshold here, the consideration to decide the threshold value is based on the signal strength. If the received signal strength is high value, you should select the threshold as a high value. If we have an assumption of received signal as a low value, you should select the low threshold value. So the target signal, actually this is the RMS plus noise signal, that is received echo signal, which is included with noise. So here we have a 3 points called A, B, C. So whenever this signal crosses the threshold value or reaches the threshold value, then only we consider that as a original target. Otherwise, that was called as missed target. Okay, see here the point A called as real target, which crosses the threshold level. So exactly the target is presented here. Whereas B, it doesn't cross the threshold, but it reaches to threshold level. So here it is also identified as a target detection. Whereas C is actually near to threshold level, but it doesn't reaches to threshold or not crosses the threshold. That's why it is not identified as a target. So this is called missed detection. Okay, actually C is a target, but signal strength of this echo signal is not reaching the threshold level. That's why we are called this as a missing detection. This is the exact detection. This is a target is detected. Okay. So in addition to all the noise sources, receiver itself also adds some noise to a radar signal. That noise is called as receiver noise. So that example for that noise is thermal noise, which is denoted with the letter Ni, and where Ni is equals to KT naught Bn. And we know that the K is 1.3 into 10 power minus 23 joules per degree, and T naught is the absolute temperature, value is 2900 Kelvin, Bn is the receiver bandwidth. Okay. And here by using some formulas, we are calculating the SNR. SNR is nothing but signal to noise ratio of the radar system, which is figure of merit, which is denoted with the letter F, where here F is equals to signal to noise ratio of input by signal to noise ratio of output. So that is substituted in these formulas. At final, you are deriving the at final you are deriving the formula of signal input SI is equals to FK T naught Bn by S naught by N naught. Now this S minimum is substituted in the radar range equation, what we already derived as a standard form of radar range equation in equation 7. Okay. So those are some considerations. So, and here these concepts are nothing but probability of detection, probability of false alarm. Why we are considering this concept means here. So in order to analyze the performance of a radar system, we are analyzing the performance with a previous discussion. What idea we are having in our mind, we have some idea about radar range equation. That radar range equation, the parameters are influencing the performance of a radar range equation. That means indirectly it influences the performance of a radar system. So that parameters are having statistical nature. So by varying the random nature of those parameters, the performance of a radar system is going to influence it. So here, in order to improve the radar system performance, first we need to calculate two parameters: the probability of detection, probability of false alarm. Here, probability of detection is nothing but the probability of the target will be detected when one is present. Here, when real one is present means whenever the real target is present, that is detected by the radar system, we are calling that as a probability of detection. This is real detection. Okay. But whereas coming to probability of false alarm, actually target is not present, but noise is exceeds the threshold level. Noise signal is identified as a target signal. So actually target is not present, but radar system given a decision target is present. Then such type of detection is called as probability of false alarm. Okay. So these two, by analyzing these two parameters, we are able to analyze the performance of a radar system. First one is the probability of detection, and another one is the probability of false alarm. Okay. So see here, this figure explains clearly the two things. Actually, this is the transmitting pulse, which is transmitted by the radar transmitter towards the target in a free space. So whenever this electromagnetic pulse touches or hits this target, the reflected signal is reflected back towards the radar system, where then this radar receiver receives the signal and giving that signal to some radar processing system, where we have that threshold detection, all those that amplitude detector, square law detector, all the blocks are included in this radar processing system. After processing, the radar given a two signals, this one and this one. Actually, this is a threshold level. This signal reaches to threshold level, where it is not reaches the threshold level. So based on the comparison of these two on threshold level, the decision is given by a radar system whether the target is present or not. Okay. So this is the basic operation, how a radar system detects a target. Okay. So this is a general block diagram of a radar system, where this block explains the transmitter part, and this one is about the receiver part, and this one is about the processing, radar processing unit. By performing all these actions, here we have a display called a small display. Observe this display. All information is processed regarding this target, and that information is displayed on this display as like a blip. So when you are clicking on that blip, all the information regarding this flight, with how much, what is the range, what is the distance, what is the altitude, what is the flight number, on which airport it belongs, all that information is displayed on the screen. Okay. So back, this is the history. Okay. So to display that information, this much of processing is going on. Okay. So this is a block diagram: a transmitter, receiver, processing unit. Individually, you have idea about these blocks because you are the final year students. So you have an idea about power amplifier, waveform generation, receiver, A to D converter, D to A converters, clutter rejections. Here T by R is nothing but transmit or receive switch, which is nothing but a duplexer. So whenever it acts as a transmitter, this antenna is acting as a transmitting antenna. Whenever it is acting as a receiver, this antenna is acting as a receiving antenna. This is a switching mechanism is there because it is a duplexer. Okay. So I already told that this is a typical aircraft surveillance radar. I explained how it transmits an electromagnetic wave. So here we are considering one example. It transmits pulse at 1250 hertz and rotation speed is 12 RPM because it rotates in a 360 degrees direction in order to cover all the crafts which are traveling in a free space. Okay. After sending, this is a real example. Okay. After sending at this frequency, at this rotation speed, it receives a signal like this. So where this is the original signal considered from data. Okay, where it receives a signal plus noise, where this is the target echo signal and all these signals are noise. Okay, actually we have here three main beams. One is indicated with blue and other two are indicated with red color. Okay, actually this is the threshold level. Okay, actually here this is not a echo related to target. This is a noise echo. Okay, but it reaches the threshold level. So radar system, whenever it reaches the threshold level, radar system identified it as a target, but actually target is not present. That's why it is mentioned as false alarm. Okay, so again come to here. This is the original target. Whenever it crosses the threshold level, it is identified as detected strong target. Okay, and come to this one. Actually, this is the original target, but signal strength is very low because of influence of a noise. It unable to reach the threshold level and it was not detected as a target. Okay, so it is called missed detection. Target is present, but it is not detected by the radar system. That's why this is called a missed detection. Okay, so actually this figure explains about the probability of detection. Okay, and probability of false alarm. Okay, and these are the points we considered in order to keep how we are keeping the threshold levels. And here this slide explains about probability of false alarm. Actually, radar processing unit is having a 4 decisions that those are initially indicated as H0 and H1. So here see here H0 is nothing but whenever the target detected by the radar system is a noise, then it is indicated as a H0. If it is the H1 means the original target is present. This is assumption, initial assumption. So see here, the 4 comparisons are taken place here. If the truth, that means target present is H0, that means noise, not a original target. Decision given by the radar system also H0. H0, actual present is H0. Decision given by radar system also H0. Don't report back. Here the condition is don't report back because the truth H0 H0. Okay, but the actual target is truth is H0, but decision given by the radar system is H1. Then indicate as a false alarm. We should be able to know what is the real thing. Okay, actually H0, that means noise present, but decision H1, that means target is presented. That was the decision given by the radar system. So then give a decision as a false alarm. Okay, and another case is actual truth is H1, that means target is present, but the decision given by the radar system is H0, that means target is not presented, only noise is presented. That is the decision given by the radar system. Because that echo is having a low signal strength, then we are calling that as a missed detection. And another case is the truth is H1 and the decision given by the radar system is H1. Okay, whenever both are H1, that is the valid detection. The detection is called as valid detection. Okay, and another concept is called integration of radar pulses. So here integration of radar pulses is nothing but up to now we are talking only about a single electromagnetic pulse which is transmitted towards the target and reflected pulse, that is a single echo pulse. But in order to improve the signal to noise ratio and in order to improve the radar system performance, we are considering instead of a single echo pulse, multiple echoes are considered. That multiple echoes are considered in order to improve the probability of detection. What is the probability of detection? Finding a original target. Okay, identifying, detecting a original target, right? So in order to improve the signal to noise ratio or performance of a radar system, integration of radar pulses concept is considered. What is the integration means? Instead of considering a one echo pulse, here we are considering n number of echo pulses and we are integrating all those pulses with the help of an integrator, and sum of signal is sum of echo signal is considered in order to identify that target is present or not. Okay, in these integrations we have two types: coherent integration, non-coherent integration. Okay, and this is actually in a general radar block diagram. I already showed that receiver part. In that receiver part, these are the places where we are placing an integrators. This is called second detector or amplitude detector or square law detector. Okay, in order to detect the signal. So here we are calling the concept called pre-detection integration and post-detection integration. So if you place the integrator before the second detector, such type of integration is called pre-detection integration. Or if you place the integrator after the second detector, then such type of integration is called post-detection integration. Okay. This is explanation and comparisons of those one. And after performing an integration concept, you are calculating the integration efficiency with a parameter called EI of n, where EI of n is equals to n into EI of n. Integration efficiency EI of n is equals to, it is not mentioned here, but see, integration efficiency EI of n is nothing but uh, n into SNR of 1. N into SNR of 1 is nothing but n is the number of pulses, and SNR of 1 is signal to noise ratio of a single pulse. Okay, this is see here. SNR of 1 is nothing but single pulse signal to noise ratio required to produce a probability of detection regarding the target, where SNR of n is nothing but n pulses. So EI of n is equals to n into SNR of 1. Okay. This is the integration improvement factor. II of n is integration improvement factor, which is given as II of n is equals to n into EI of n. Okay. So this is general block diagram. This is radar cross section, target cross section. So this radar cross section of a target is denoted with letter sigma, and it is nothing but power reflected towards source per unit solid angle to the instant power density. This is a technical definition, but in general you can define radar cross section is nothing but what is the amount of power re-radiated by the target. What do you mean by re-radiated by the target? Whenever an electromagnetic pulse hits the target, it re-radiates, that is reflected back, reflects back that power towards the target. So here by using radar cross section, we are measuring the ability of re-radiation power of the target. Okay, radiation from the target side, that is measured by using a radar cross section denoted with sigma, which is given as technical formula for this one is power reflected towards source per unit solid angle by incident power density. This is given with this formula. Okay. So these are the several factors which influence the radar cross section, and this graph explains about radar cross section of a simple object called sphere. So whenever we assume sphere as a target, this is the actual radar cross section graph. So basically this graph operates in three regions: relay, my, optical region. So here the conditions for these three regions are whenever 2 pi a by lambda, that is circumference by wavelength, is less than 1, then that is operated in a relay region. Whenever it is greater than 1, it is operated in optical region. Whenever it is comparable to 1, that is operated in my or resonance region. Okay. These are the several regions. And here creeping wave concept. Creeping wave is nothing but actually whenever an electromagnetic wave touches the target, that immediately that reflected back towards the source, actual wave in a normal statistical wave. Okay. But in a creeping wave is the concept which obeys the diffraction. Here diffraction is nothing but it is not reflected back. It travels around the object. After traveling around the object, that means shadow part of the object, it returns back again towards the source. Such type of waves are called here creeping waves. Actually, this is the wave. Whenever it touches one edge of the target, it reflected back towards the source. Till now, we are talking about those waves. But here, the new concept called creeping wave is nothing but whenever it touches the target, it doesn't reflect it back immediately. It travels around the target and it reaches the radar source. Such type of waves are called creeping waves. Here, this graph explains difference between typical normal waves and creeping waves. Actually, these are high in amplitude because these are not traveling around the object, not covering the shadow part of the object. Where this wave covering all around the object, shadow part of the object also. That's why the amplitude level is decreasing. These waves are called creeping waves. And this concept explains transmitter power. We already know that in radar range equation PT, where PT is nothing but the total power transmitted by the radar system. So here P average is calculated by using this formula, okay, where P average is equal to where total power transmitted by the radar system by into duty cycle, where duty cycle is given as tau by TP, where tau is pulse width and TP is nothing but pulse repetition time interval. Okay. This explains about transmitter power. After deriving, we are substituting that one into a radar range equation in a standard equation. That is the one another modified form of radar range equation. Here, this is PRF and range ambiguities, pulse repetition frequency, and related range ambiguities. I already explained that range ambiguities and what are the conditions. These are the system losses. Several system losses what we are having in a radar systems. Okay. So with this, I conclude today's class. We need to stop recording.